Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you 10 things you need to know in CSGO, and some of these things is stuff I wish I knew when I started out playing CSGO and that I learned for my 1000 hours of playing this CSGO. And I think even if you played this game several thousand hours and maybe think you know everything, I think some of these things you will find surprising and actually pretty useful to know. So let's jump straight into it. The first thing that I wish I knew, or you need to know in CSGO, is how to high jump. And many people just think that the way to jump high as possible is to just press crouch and space at the same time, like this. And sometimes, if you practice enough, you can hit it pretty accurately just by hitting both buttons at the same time. But actually the easiest way to do it is to crouch first and then jump right after. Because somehow just in CSGO, if you crouch first and then jump after, you'll just high jump. Like this, you can see I crouch, then jump. I crouch, then jump. It's way easier that way to do the high jumps. And if I jump and then crouch, you can see I doesn't make it. So if you need to make a high jump every time, just crouch and then jump right after. The next thing I wish I knew is that peeking from either left side or right side actually matter, and there's a pretty good reason for that, and that is that if you can, as you can see here, your point of view is from where the head are, so your point of view is around here, and there's like less of your body sticking out to the right. Like the first thing you're gonna see is probably shoulder right here, and that's pretty close to his head, where the first thing you're gonna see is the shoulder out here and the foot, and there's way more body to the left than to the right. So that means if you peek to the left, your body is gonna get seen faster than if you were gonna peek to the right. And I've seen many people saying that it's your body peaks go small, like to the left when you crouch, but that's actually not true. As you can see here, the guy who's crouched is like aligned right here, but if you follow this line with the guy who's standing up, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is that if you crouch and peek from the left side, the advantage that he has to see your body before you just get bigger, because when you crouch you move slower and then he sees you way before than if you just peek out like this, then he has a less advantage. So if you crouch peek left side, just try to avoid that. The next thing you need to know is actually just some facts, and some of them are more useful than others. I'm just gonna list them here. You can also follow them on screen if you want, but I'm just gonna list them. So the first thing is that the smoke lasts 18 seconds. So when you throw a smoke and it pops, then it lasts for 18 seconds before it fades. The molly lasts 7 seconds, so when the molly explodes, it takes 7 seconds for the molly to go away. Then the maximum flash time you can do is 5.2 seconds, so that's my maximum flash duration. Then a nade does 98 damage for an unarmored target and 59 damage for a armored target. And the nade and the flash takes about 1.5 seconds to detonate when you throw it. Then the decoy, it takes 15 seconds to explode when you throw it, and it does 2 damage at maximum if you stand on top of it, and if you get it to head level like this, then it does a maximum of 11 damage. And every nade, if you directly hit somebody with a nade, does 1 damage. So some of these facts are more useful than others, like the smoke fact is pretty useful, because then you know if there's 18 seconds left on the clock, you can smoke something and they'll have to push through a smoke. And the same with the molly. Let's say it's low on time and you know they have to plant, then you can throw a molly, and you know if there's 10 seconds left and you throw the molly, then they'll have 3 seconds left to plant and there's no time. So use them to try and outplay your enemies. The next tip also correlates a bit about peeking, and it's actually about peeking and peeking speed, and how to peek faster and peek slower. So let's say, for example, again this angle right here, there's a guy holding it with an orb, and you're gonna try to maybe make him miss or something. Then is the better option to go all the way back here and then peek, or is the better option to go right here? The pros and cons are right here. You're gonna be slower on his screen because you're further away. Let's say for example a guy is holding connector and you jump like this, then you're gonna be faster across this gap right here than you're gonna be if you're gonna go further away and go like this. But here you're gonna be smaller and slower, and here you're gonna be bigger but faster. So the pros and cons are, if you peek further back, you're gonna peek slower but actually be smaller. And if you peek close to the wall, you're gonna be bigger but actually faster. And most of the times when I like to maybe like peek up or make him miss, I actually like to go close and then jump over and peek, because it just makes the shot faster and makes him need to flick like this instead of maybe flicking like this. So when I peek up, I like to go close to the wall. And another thing you need to know is that also it takes some time to get up to speed. As you can see here up in the left corner where it says VEL, it says a number, and the maximum speed you can get in CSGO is 250. And it actually takes some time to get up to that speed. So let's say for example I'm peeking an angle and I'm going like this and then peeking. I'm actually only hitting 250 in speed right here, and especially if I jump, I'm only gonna hit 200 if I peek like this, 203 as you can see up here. So sometimes if you really want to make somebody miss and do a Ferrari peek, the best choice is actually to go really close to the wall, go a bit back so you can get up to speed, and then go past and then peek like that. So that's a bit about peeking and peeking speed. And out from the things I've told you about peeking, you can in your games choose yourself what is the best option here. Is it to go close, peek fast, or peek more further away, or is it jiggle him out, or what you choose in the game. Another thing you need to know is that when you peek stuff, you always need to only use A and D, because the way CS works is counter-strafing is that if you peek with A, then you easily can just tap D and then instantly stop and be accurate. So if I peek like this, I can just do like this and then be instantly accurate. And this is a very, very important skill in CSGO, because it allows you to make those fast peek where you can just instantly step up and fire. And it won't allow you, if you also use W like this, you can't really be direct with your first shot. Then you'll have to press S and D at the same time, and just not a very convenient way to peek. So always, if you're peeking something, then use A and D, and it's gonna say for everything. So for example up here, use D to peek, use A to peek, always peek like that. And also makes it way easier to just aim. So always use A and D to peek stuff. The next thing you need to know is that all nades does more damage at hit level than at feed level. So let's say for example I throw a decoy right here, it will do 11 damage when it pops, and this decoy under him will do about 2 damage. The same is with a HE. If you throw a HE at feed level, it will do about 51 damage, but if you actually throw it at head level like this, it will do 58 damage. It's a little difference, not that big of a difference, but sometimes if you try to nade something, try to throw it at head level, then it does more damage than if you try to throw it at their feet. The next thing you need to know is that it actually takes 4 seconds to plant the bomb. Some people believe that it's 3, but you actually need to be safe to plant the bomb. You need that to be 4 on the clock up in the middle. Sometimes you can get it if it just turned 3, like in before like a millisecond, but it has to be very, very close. But the general rule of thumb is that you need 4 seconds on the clock in order to plant the bomb. Next thing you need to know is that you actually can buy 5 nades in a round. So let's say for example you're gonna do the window smoke and Mirage, then you can actually just go back into spawn, buy an extra flash, and now you will have 2 flashes or a nade depending on what you start out buying. So it's a pretty small trick, but I actually see a lot of people forgetting it, and just using it can be really useful because you'll get that extra piece of utility. The next tip is that you need to be aware of shadows when you play CSGO, because shadows are actually a pretty important thing, and if you don't use them correctly you can get screwed over by it. And the way you can get screwed over is because if you peek places like for example ramp right here, you'll cast out of shadow, like this. You can see the butters. So if you're just sneaking up or peeking, the guy right here will see you like a second before and can almost pre-fire you and prepare for you. And for example on ramp here, I never peek up this back wall because there where the shadow cast. So I normally just peek close like this and there's no shadow. And as you can see right here, the shadow casts down to the right. And it doesn't really make any sense because that means that the sun should be right here, but the sun is actually right here. So the shadow cast doesn't really make sense, but just being aware of the different angles you can peek or where the shadow will show is really important. And the same is here in connector. As you can see right here, I can see the shadow way before I can see the person right here when peeking from underground to connector. And just being aware of this can be really important, so you don't begin sneak peeking angles like this or jiggle peeking like this, because they can see a shadow and that you're coming. The next tip is, if you're playing with a bot, you can make it to hold one position like this. You just go in here and tap 4, then he'll go into his position, and that's very important to have this command radio message. So you're just going to command radio message, look at the bot, then press hold this position, and he'll cover this area and stay right here. So if you're playing a game with a bot and just want him to stay back, then you can just do this and you can just keep playing, and when you die like this, then you can just go to a bot, press use, and then you can take over the bot. And this is very useful in Face It if you have a guy leaving and you don't want the bot to just run out and fully suicide. And a little bonus extra tip that I wish I knew when I started playing CS is that you don't need all the maps in the workshop. Like, you don't need to go into the workshop and download all of Mirage, Dust 2, Ancient Anubis. There's a way easier way to do it. Just type map, then press space, then D, and then underscore, and then you'll have all the official Counter-Strike maps. So for example, if you want to go to Mirage, I just type Mirage, then enter. If you want to go to Dust 2, and you can go to all the maps, and then just press enter, and it will load up the official map that you play in. So every time you'll know that you're playing on the exact right Mirage. They didn't download a weird workshop map where it isn't correctly the same map. Was my list of 10 things that you need to know in CSGO, and hope you learned something from the video. Some of them was more advanced than others, but also hope you liked the video and consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.